Righto, day 2, Milo 2 preparation, getting ready for a little bit of tough four-wheel driving up at Cruiser Park. Now by now, you've seen the first stage of the trials. That was all about touring. The second stage, this is all about taking it up that next level off-road, which is why I'm going somewhere I know and love. Now, a lot of this today is just stuff left over from the first trip. This will be the 3rd oil and filter change in a bit over 10,000 Ks, okay? We did one after just short of 1,000 Ks. Let it go a little bit long, but that's because it was touring all the way to Adelaide and back. Not bothered by that, it was warm all the time. This will be number 3, perfect. I've already left it running. I went down to the shops and back actually. I bought some beer for the boys. Hey, and then I left it running for about 15-20 minutes. I just wanted it really hot before I dropped the oil in the filter. And I've done that because I wanted to do it straight away. And now it's time to bung the plug back in. You can see I've put my usual dose of silicone on that. Okay, there we go. That's why in the 50s the greaseback look was really cool. It's because we all had oil in our hair. Doesn't take much on the sump plug. That's why I use silicone, because I've had to repair too many of them. That'll be spot on. I've got a new Terrain Tamer filter. This is Milo 2 we're talking about, so it gets nothing but the best. So I've got a brand new Terrain Tamer filter. And this is 20W60 Penrite. Diesel oil, the best oil on the market. Now, to avoid airlocks and those moments where there's no oil, you know, when it starts up, we'll give it about nearly a full charge. Just enough so I can spill some, get some more in my hair and look pretty. At least it'll be clean oil this time. I've already wiped down all the filter landing area. Just need to get a start on, and there we go. Perfect. Look at that. You can always tell a good filter that starts with good threads, good spring, just everything's good. That's how it should be. Everyone's got their own choice in filter tightness. I really like these strap ones. They just sort of work like that. You tighten them on, fits almost anything, and it doesn't damage the filter casing. Just your head when you bang it on the chassis. The trick to using one of these is to use it up high on the filter, not down low, because at the bottom of a filter casing is crushable fairly easily. So all I have to do, I'm going to give this about 3/4 of a turn. I'll be happy with that. And that's enough. And there you have it. Brand new Terrain Tamer filter. 20W60 Penrite inside it. Better put some in the motor too, hey? And that's a lot. Beautiful. I love this truck. I love this truck too. I love this truck. How you going, Rich? You're not under the truck, are you?
No, all good, all good.
What have you got to do?
We just got the batteries changed. We just moved the earths there.
Yep.
Because we lifted it up.
So you're shifting that strap on the other side?
Yeah, that's all done. It's all done now. I'm going to just sort the aerial wire out.
Okay.
And then we're ready to start fitting up the...
Fit up the rack?
That's it. Looking forward to it, man.
Mate, we'll be having a candle lunch by about 11:30 at this rate. Oh, is there something more fun than working on trucks with your mates and candle lunches? No. See me neat bottle, Rich? How good's this?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Found it just in the shops, a couple of bucks. It's brilliant.
A litre per bottle. Used to know how much put in.
They only had one left. Otherwise I would have bought a dozen of them. I used to love these. They were all glass when I was a kid. That was my first job, cleaning the oil bottles and filling them with oil. And do you know what I've noticed? The oil in those days was almost like vinegar compared to this stuff. Fair dinkum. Okay, so that was the one.
You finished there yet? 10
Mate,
years?
oh, look, I'm thinking that that's how much I put in the filter, so we'll see how right we are. And it'll swallow a little bit when it starts, I guess they always do, eh? There's nothing more satisfying than a new filter and new oil. I'm talking about the truck here. As far as Richard goes, it's just a couple of beers. That's pretty good, that's spot on. So that's 10 litres plus probably the half litre I put in the filter. But when you do something like this, you know this anyway, I'm just telling you. First thing you do is look underneath, make sure the new oil's not dripping out somewhere. You know, done that before. And the other thing you should always do is start it up, let it run for a couple of minutes, check it again, just to make sure it hasn't, you know, shuffled a litre of oil around the valve gallery or something. You just never know. Okay, that is beautiful. Oh, lovely. I love this engine. How good is that? Have a good look now, because pretty soon we're going to be immersing it in some horrible stuff. Boy, you're going to think I'm getting a little bit strange here, but there's just a few places, you know, bare metal places, where a squirt of lanolin now is going to stop the rust in the future. You know, it's only minor stuff. And it's going to get coated in dust and everything else, but then when I clean the motor, it'll still look pretty underneath. Does that really matter? Well, yeah, it does in a way, because when nuts and bolts rust in, they become absolute rat bags to undo. So I just go through it. Anywhere there's a little bit of rust, gets a little spray of the old lanolin. It's the best stuff for anything to do with metal protection. Righto, so rooftop tent, which I loved, the clamshell tent, sitting over in the corner now, because all up with my gear in it, it weighed a tad over 90 kilos. And it was just in the wrong place, you know, for a truck that's going to go a little bit berserk off-road. Can't wait for that bit. So what we're doing is we're replacing it with a lightweight front runner rack, and because front runner stuff's beautifully engineered. I mean, I went to Africa testing it, you know, a few years ago. Couldn't believe it when I saw the factory facilities, everything else. I get a load of this. This is a front runner water tank. It comes complete with absolutely everything. There's rubber strips to mount it on. The top latch, it's just lovely engineering, it really is. And it comes with a tap. I think the tap might be an extra actually. But even the kit to fit it, everything is in there, all the hose clamps. They give you different variations on all the knuckles and things. This is really good gear, guys. So that you could, if you wanted to, just have the tank on a corner and have a tap straight off it, or you can add a bit of hose and, you know, basically pipe it to exactly where you want it. This is, once again, another front runner product. It's the gas bottle holder. And like, obviously, you know, a country that considers a vegetable is chicken knows all about barbecues and gas bottles. So it's quick disconnect. It's the kind of stuff that you just enjoy using it every time. You know that quality feeling, that Toyota 40 series sort of feeling? Yeah. And Rich is just banging on some awning brackets. Once again, you know, these are just really classy. Once they're tightened up, they're there for good, or you can adapt them later on if you change awnings or do something like that. We're putting the awning, the gas bottle, the tank, all on the left-hand side, the passenger side. That's because all the way through this, we're thinking severe off-road, right? And that means we've got to think balance the whole way through. It's why we took the rooftop tent off, and it's why we're putting this stuff on the left-hand side, because it'll help balance out a certain ROOTH's sort of extra baggage, if you know what I mean. And if the handbrake comes for a ride, well, that's a different matter. Maybe I'll just let the water out of the tank. Don't let her hear me say that. So all of that's going on the left-hand side. I'll probably stick the tap over here on the right-hand side somewhere, just because that tends to be the side that gets the kitchen gear. wow, this stuff's just beautiful to play with. Somewhere in all this lot, we've got Maxtrax racks, we've got the shovel, we've got some front runner boxes. They're all going to go on the front rack. Really getting Milo 2 together. You know, I've always wanted to have the recovery gear separate from everything else, and those big heavy boxes will enable us to do that. Heavy as in heavy construction, not heavy weight. Righto, come back in a while. Show you where we get to. How you going with that, mate?
Yeah, coming on, mate.
Milo 2, brought to you by the best names in the business and a whole bunch of my mates helping out.